What's good, fam? Sakamoto Days just keeps getting crazier and crazier. In the most recent episodes, it's been all action and a ton of insane fights. We see Sakamoto and Shin versus the mad scientist, we get Shin versus Seba, the invisible man, and we get the hype fight between Sakamoto and Kashima. Now that's a lot, so let's cover it all and get right into it. But before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Sakamoto Days videos. With that being said, let's get right into it. So to start things off, let's cover what happens right before episode 8. Alright, so in the last episode, Sakamoto was at his kid's school. My man was out here being a proud dad for Parents' Day. So while he's out, Lou and Shin are holding it down at the store. But wait, spoiler alert, they are not holding it down at all.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
They're getting into arguments, and Shin ends up stepping out of the store to cool off for a bit. But then out of nowhere, some dude in some straight up hazmat suits, they're looking like some aliens from Danadan. They roll up into the shop and immediately go and grab Lou. Damn! By the time Shin comes back to the store, Lou's gone. My dude Shin immediately goes into panic mode, but Sakamoto strolls in and he's like, nah, we're good. I got trackers on all of your guys' name tags, so you already know what's next. Sakamoto and Shin are going on a rescue mission, so they hop in the car and roll out to save Lou. But the dudes in the hazmat suits catch on to them. They see them on their tail, so they hop on their motorcycles and try attacking Sakamoto and Shin, but they handle them like it's light work. Damn. But after this, a dude named Seba pulls up, and bro has some unknown invisibility tech. We haven't seen this in the show at all yet. And he immediately starts attacking Shin without even being seen. So Shin gets a little worked right here. Seba then tries pulling up on Sakamoto next. But let me tell you, Sakamoto is just built different. So without even seeing Seba, Sakamoto instinctively blocks.
You can't touch this.
And then attacks him back effortlessly, throwing him right onto the highway. Seba gets up and dusts himself off, but he instantly regrets his life choices here. He's like, nah man, we're done with all this. Scratch the plan, let's just take Lou back to the lab and dip up out of here. This man fought Sakamoto one time and suddenly wants a no smoke at all. Crazy. But anyways, at this point, Shin realizes what's up and tells Sakamoto that these dudes are likely from the lab. Long story short, this is the spot that was experimenting on Shin when he was a kid, and they ultimately gave him his telepathic powers, but they didn't used to be so violent like they are now, so something had to have changed. And we all know that Sakamoto does not play about his people, so he's like, oh word, let's hit up the lab, let's save Lou, and find out what's happening back at your old place. But hey, from here, in episode 8, things really go off. So we see that Lou is locked in a cell with a man named Asakura.
What do you mean by that?
And he's the original head of the research lab before it was taken over by some other assassins. And he's the one who gave Shin his psychic powers. But ever since Shin left the lab, Asakura thinks that Shin hates him. But Lou is like, nah man, I'm sure it's the opposite. Shin loves his new psychic powers, and I'm sure he's a fan of you too. Ultimately, this makes Asakura feel better, and now he's ready to break out of the cell that him and Lou are locked in. At this same time, Shin and Sakamoto make it into the lab, and they get some intel on the different layers of the lab. There's 5 floors in this lab in total, and each floor is guarded by a different boss from this hitman group. So after getting into the lab and reaching their floor, Sakamoto and Shin are now fighting some mad scientist dude. He has different microchips and injections that all have crazy different effects. So Sakamoto gets snuck with one of these, and it starts to make him confuse his enemies with his allies. But you know Sakamoto's the OG. He's like, bet, if it's gonna mess with my head, I'm just gonna aim for Shin instead. And this man outsmarted the situation, and he ended up landing a clean hit on the mad scientist. A little reverse psychology stuff right there, some big brain moves, you know. But hey, you know these villains don't go down that easily. So this man ends up injecting himself for round 2, and he ends up transforming himself into a budget version of the Hulk. That's crazy. How you gonna be a bootleg the Hulk? Anyways, from here, Shin goes in for a counterattack on the guy, but the chip in him makes him hit Sakamoto instead. As the fight ends up going on, even when Sakamoto is able to land a punch on the mad scientist, his punches end up being weaker than usual since he's pooling his punches because there's a chance that he accidentally hits Shin too. On the other hand, Shin is trying to read the mad scientist's mind in order to predict how to juke his attacks. But he gets hit with another needle, and this causes him to no longer have control of his body. So at this point, Sakamoto is ready for action now, and he starts attacking everyone in the room. With this method, he can't really miss because he's aiming for everybody. The only thing though, is since Shin can also read Sakamoto's mind, he's now able to dodge the incoming attacks from Sakamoto. And just like that, it's GG's for the mad scientist. This guy got straight folded. And now that business is handled there, Sakamoto and Shin are back on the grind looking for Lu. But now Sakamoto and Shin are out on the lookout and talking. Bam! Before you know it, Sakamoto falls straight into a random hole. Like, bro, you're the GOAT assassin, but you forgot to peep the floor. Anyways, then we switch over to the two members of the order that infiltrated the lab. The blonde guy is Shishiba, and the girl is Asaragi. They both quickly defeated every person on the bottom floor of the lab, and now they found 3 of the bosses that are there. Shishiba says to them, "Don't get angry, we just got lost in this maze." And he's big trolling right now, for real. But then Kashima, the man with the reindeer head or the reindeer mask, responds,
This is what they said to me! Very, very disrespectful!
and he says, "Our apologies, allow us to escort you to the exit, because they don't want no smoke with the order, nobody does." But Shishiba responds, and he says, "Actually, we're looking for a slur, and if he's here, we want to kill him." Then Kashima responds, "The master isn't here, he's extremely busy, and the lab is his own project." Now that being said, now we know that this group is associated with the assassin slur that they're looking out for, so that's pretty interesting. Nonetheless, Shishiba is not having none of that. He says, "You guys violated the JAA policies, and sorry, but you all have to die now." But immediately after saying this, 2 of the bosses that were standing next to Kashima instantly show up in front of Shishiba, and they're ready to attack him. But in absolutely no time at all, both of the bosses are eliminated by the order. Light work. But with seeing 2 of his comrades die right in front of his face, Kashima is in tears. But hey, he still wants to smoke. So Kashima rips off his stitched up arm, and from out of there come crazy blades, like some Wolverine, zombie Wolverine type shit. And now the fight between Kashima and the order begins. At this point, Kashima and Shishiba go at it for a quick moment, but in no time again, Shishiba got the best of Kashima, and the order believes they just killed him. But Kashima was not finished this easily, and goes back in to attack them. But before Kashima knows it, Sakamoto comes down straight from the ceiling and lands right on him. That's mad crazy, but it looks like from here, Sakamoto's about to end up in a fight with Kashima. So as Kashima is talking to Sakamoto, we found out that Sakamoto is the only person to have ever injured X. But as Kashima is saying this, Sakamoto has no idea who Kashima is even talking about.
Huh?
This pisses off Kashima, and now he has his focus on defeating Sakamoto and presenting him to X. So Kashima gets ready to fight, so he rips off all of his stitches, and he gets blades coming out of one arm, a gun coming out the other arm, and another gun coming out his mouth. This is like something you see straight out of Chainsaw Man, you know? But hey, in the meantime, we go back to Shin, and Shin is running to find Lu, but he ends up running into Seba instead. So Seba gets straight into the action and makes light work of Shin. As Seba gets off a pretty lethal attack on Shin, Shin falls down and starts bleeding, but he also manages to smear a bit of blood onto Seba to reveal his position. And then out the way back, the sniper Mashimo enters the scene, and he gets off a shot on Seba. Seba is a bit stunned here. He didn't know where this all came from, but he now notices where the sniper is, so he decides to steer clear from being directly in scope and starts hiding behind different objects. But now Mashimo is that tier 1 sniper, so he has those ricochet shots already loaded, so he's still able to snipe at Seba even when Seba is hiding behind different obstacles. So Seba starts to think quickly, he starts to think on his feet, and he takes off his invisibility cloak to fully reveal his position. Mashimo now sees exactly where he is and gets ready to shoot him, but then suddenly a lead pipe immediately hits him and tears at his shoulder. This lead pipe was covered by the invisibility cloak. So Seba then pulls up to Mashima to finish him off. But before Seba is able to get this final hit off, Mashima's bird comes in from above and drops a bullet for him. Mashimo aims his sniper towards Seba, but Seba ends up dodging it. But from here, the bullet ricochets and ends up going out and hits the sprinkler system. This causes the area to flood with water, and it makes Seba now visible. And now Shin immediately drops him, and just like this, Seba is defeated. On the other side of the lab though, we're back to the fight with Sakamoto and Kashima. And Sakamoto gets right to it. He takes a pen and stabs it right to Kashima's laser mouth, causing it to explode. At this point, Kashima tells Sakamoto that the lab has been rigged to self-detonate in case anyone found out about it. And now the lab's gonna be destroyed within the next 20 minutes. Sakamoto's like, that's light work. 20 minutes is plenty of time. All I need is 5. So Sakamoto then punches Kashima through the walls, and they end up getting into the train station. At this point, Kashima now acknowledges the force that is Sakamoto. Even though Kashima has 70% of his body made as an entire weapon, Sakamoto's presence itself is a weapon. At this point in the fight now, Sakamoto has burned mad calories, so he's now looking just like he did in his prime. And Sakamoto then notices that Kashima is pretty sturdy, pretty durable. So he says, hey, if you're immortal, I guess I don't have to worry about killing you, so let's go at it. They now both start going all out against each other on the train, but Sakamoto clearly has the upper hand. After fully embarrassing Kashima in this fight, Sakamoto walks out from the train station with Kashima's KO'd body. And then it goes to Lu, Shin, and Asakura, and they're running to escape the lab before it collapses. In the background, Shishiba and Osaragi from the Order are in a classified vault of the lab, and they're looking for more intel on X. As they're going through surveillance footage, they end up discovering that even though Kashima claimed he was working alone on this, X was actually the one pulling the strings from behind the scene. Then going back to Shin, he runs into a mysterious character from afar, and this ends up being X. When Shin reads X's mind, he instantly is stunned from all of the bloodlust from X. And then as X passes by Shin, he tells him to say hi to Sakamoto for him, and then he immediately disappears. God damn, this is mad hype, and a ton of new developments are happening here. But hey, that's a wrap for this one. If you liked the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for new Sakamoto Days videos. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.